Hey, yo, what's up, and welcome to my corner of the internet. So, this is kind of a part 2 to my previous video last week. Go watch that if you have not watched it because it'll make a lot more sense. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. That'll be much appreciated. Last week I asked you how you would get published. It's now time to talk about how JJK has influenced anime and manga for the most part. And there's various different points I can get into. This is a two-part video because I feel as though JJK is a point where we see things have changed. And I have several points, and I would like to tell you there is minor spoilers in this. So if you haven't finished JJK, I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's been over for a little bit of a while. But the anime's still going, so I don't know. I don't think spoilers ruin a story. JJK is something, a bit of a spectacle, so either you're going to watch it or you don't, which I'm pretty sure you will. So, JJK fixed pacing. Well, sort of, kind of, because there are exceptions to these rules. So, what did they do differently? What did JJK take from the previous generations of anime and just streamlined it to the point where now we look at a completely different landscape of anime? Now, I could go for the easy answer, which most people can guess because inherently you watch it all the time. But I'm gonna go for one that you probably have not thought about. Now, think about this. When was the last time an anime and manga took you somewhere new? And you're probably thinking, what the hell does that mean? There's tons of anime and manga that are set in different places. But the top anime, a good bit of them are only set in Japan. Now, there's some differences, but Sakamoto Days, JJK, obviously, and then Parashoppers. There's various other animes. I'm going to put a good bit of them on the screen. We haven't had really a new world that is showcased to us. Now, Gachiakuta, but the reason why I that's an exception is because Gachiakuta, the world is a part of the story, and it's there, it's a background, but it's also a character within itself. And that's one of the differences in anime nowadays is the backgrounds and the places used to actually be a character. Because think about it, when we were growing up, there was so many worlds. Konoha, shoot, I'm blanking because there were so many. Greed Island, of course I'm going to talk about Hunter x Hunter, but then you can think about like the demon world within Yu Yu Hakusho. There was so many worlds we were actually introduced to, and it played such a fundamental part within the story. And with JJK's running and just fame, it's changed a good bit of that. Because there hasn't really been a marquee world I'm like, oh my god, could I survive in this? It's more like can I survive in the situations that these characters offer to me? And that's one of those things that has changed. Now, I could give you the most obvious one that like I'm sure everyone has been waiting for. Like that! Fights are not 1v1s anymore. That doesn't happen anymore. I haven't seen a good 1v1 in such a long time. Now, Bakugo versus All for One, yeah, sure. And then like the ending of JJK, even though that was like a progression from different fight. You know what? I'm not going to spoil that completely, but 1v1s don't really exist the same way they used to. We're seeing the last vestiges of this idea. Fights are now these big choreographies between team battles where betrayals happen, and these moments and somewhat mixtures of like backstory, and these villains are like big bads that take like 2 or 3 of us to finally figure out, which adds a whole type of video game like otherness to it. I do like it, but it does sacrifice a bit of the theatrics. And the reason why I know it sacrifices it, because when the story is actually significant and the conflict between two characters needs its own place, it'll regulate down to a 1v1. Now, this does help illustrate how powerful our villains are, or how grand the product of what our adversaries have to offer to us. But there is recipes to be lost when you try to understand if our characters are actually strong. I think this kind of adds to like the power scaling issue, because like, let me just tell you what writers in Japan feel the strongest is versus what actually is the strongest is a very different conversation than what most people believe. Like think about like One Piece, where Luffy has to take an attack because if he avoids it, he's weak. Like that is a trope that has existed over and over and over again. And it when you actually like fight, I go to a couple fighting gyms. The goal isn't to always get hit. But if you think about like the martial arts that come out of Japan, Kyokushin, the Japanese kickboxing, they stand up and bang, bro. Like they sit up and they hit each other, and you do your best and I'm gonna beat your best and outlast you. That's a part of it, and it's very in line with this change of pace that JJK has brought to it, because now there's some underhanded tricks, but there's also a situation where we have to stand and bang, and the strongest is the one that lasts. You're also probably wondering, do I like all of these changes? All of these changes, genuinely, I'm hit or miss on them. I'm going to be honest with you. That's why one of the last few big changes JJK added was there is a idea of how the story is going to go, and the things that are not concrete or the most important will just get killed off. The biggest thing I've noticed is the central themes that will be explored are the only things that matter. There's no grand side character that like changes everything. There's these moments where you're given these little drops of storytelling, but at the end of the day, if it does not play a part into the main arcing story, it does not matter. And JJK has made this one of the most egregious changes to the story. And I'm sure Gege didn't necessarily plan for it to be that way, because there's certain plot points, certain characters that are sacrificed to push the plot forward, which oftentimes seems to be female characters, and that's a very noticeable detracting factor to this new style of creation. It can be very harrowing to watch these things, because you can see how training arcs are extinct, sacrifices are made so the plot can move forward, and characters that aren't considered consequential, or the characters like motivations aren't truly explored. Like what happens to Yuki and JJK is like criminal. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you haven't already seen those things, yeah, it's a little criminal to really think about it. But it seems to come up a little bit later in the next iteration of JJK, if you're up to date, you know. With a lot of these changes, I see anime being streamlined to an action movie that has light philosophy scattered throughout it. And I'm remiss if I didn't feel a bit uninterested in it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I do love anime and manga. I have no shortage of like hopes and dreams of what's coming out next. But for the most popular shonen, I see where it's heading, and I'm wondering if it will really be able to have the staying power anime's 10 to 20 years had. And that's a real question. That's a real question as someone who has been watching anime a long time and plans to watch anime for the rest of his life and plans to interact with the medium. I wonder if this trend is going to really destroy the unique storytelling anime and manga has had. So either you feel this way or you don't. I just wanted to share what I've noticed and what JJK has added to the fold, taking from all sorts of separate aspirations, because JJK did try to tell you stories, give you lessons, give you all sorts of different things that were important, and like very well done. Gege is a great writer, but I can also see how he was motivated to make certain choices, either by his like publisher, editor. All that is there, and it is noticeable, especially when like if you get him like in an interview, get them in an interview. He admits that like he wanted to do different things with different characters, and he was dissuaded from that. So there's a very obvious point, and you see it in other mangas that are coming out now, and the stories that they're writing. It's there. It's definitely there. So you can like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you made it to the end of the video. Come join me. We're having a good time over here, and I have a bunch of different video ideas. I plan to do this for a very long time. Tell me if I'm wrong. Do you like what I'm talking about? Do you hate what I'm talking about? Please tell me down in the comments. That is much important. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I hope you're also living the good life, or trying your best to be. Take care, be well, and good luck in everything you go for.